back, and today ranking the best rookie running backs of the 2025 rookie draft class. Now, we don't know their landing spots yet. This is my big board, my rankings, my top 35 names, and whatever. You guys can comment down below if there's anybody you want me to add. I'll throw them in wherever I think they deserve to be ranked. Now, today, we're doing a bit of a tier list. We're doing a bit of a ranking. These are my overall rankings, but they're subject to change. We're going to break down their overall prospect, profiles, as well as their stats in college, so you guys can have a better idea heading into your Dynasty rookie drafts. Who to watch out for. It's a very deep rookie running back class. The running back class this year is better than any other position in the draft. The tight end class is pretty good with Warren, Loveland, and Harold Finn Jr., but the running backs are deep. Starting off with S tier. Ashton Jeanty is the best running back in this class. He had 1,900 total yards as a sophomore, went to 2,700 total yards as a junior season. Now, the thing that people are sleeping on with Ashton Jeanty is actually his receiving. The reason being, in his 2,700 yard rushing season, 2,600 rushing yard season, he only had 140 receiving yards and only 23 catches. That's kind of low. Mock draft. That's right. Smash like and subscribe button, boys, because there will be mock drafts coming out, if not already. Mock drafts already out on this channel, so make sure you don't miss those by smashing the like and subscribe button. But Ashton Jeanty, in 2023, Buddy had 43 receptions and 570 receiving yards, proving that he's not only a versatile rushing back, but also a receiving back that can get it done as well, which is why I projected him to go 1 of 1 in my rookie mock draft, as well as, you guys should be taking him at the 1 of 1 as well. Ashton Jeanty, S tier, the best running back there is. Following him in S tier is Omarion Hampton. Now, you can say there's a teardrop between Jeanty and Hampton, and maybe you're right. Maybe Hampton starts A tier, but there's other players that I think deserve to be in A tier as well. And I want to put Hampton in a class of his own because I think he's the second best player in the rookie class this year. He had 1,700 rushing yards in 2024. He had 1,500 rushing yards in 2023. And he also increased his receiving total in 2023 from 222 to 373 receiving yards in 2024, proving he also can have the reception workload. He was the bright spot on our not-so-great North Carolina team. Drake May was on that North Carolina team as well. He's had 2 straight years of 15-plus touchdowns, solid receiving potential. He's going to be, an RB1 on whatever team he goes to. It's just a matter of, is he a day 1 pick or a day 2 pick? Day 1 picks and even, round 2 picks, they tend to not be busts when it's a running back in terms of fantasy football potential. So Omarion Hampton, he deserves to be S tier as well. Now we go to A tier. My A tier guys are Quinshon Judkins. I'm going to start out with him. I think he's the top of A tier, and I think deservingly so. He's a very early, breakout. His freshman year, he had 1,500 rushing yards. He dominated in Mississippi before transferring to Ohio State. Unfortunately, offensive line injuries happened at Ohio State. Unfortunately, our next guy in A tier happened to Ohio State and took away some snaps from Quinshon Judkins, which kind of is why his overall numbers decreased throughout the season. He had only 960 rushing yards in 2024, whereas as a freshman he had almost 1,600, and his rushing totals kind of continuously went down. He averaged around 140 receiving yards per season, so nothing crazy there either. Now, there was a guy that I missed that I wanted to put above him, actually, and that's Caleb Johnson. Caleb Johnson is low-key close to being A tier for me. He's a true Iowa Buckeye, Iowa running back, man. This dude had 1,537 rushing yards, and he was kind of underrated as a receiver as well with 188 receiving yards. This is a guy where he's also going to get some pretty good capital on draft day. I still think he'll be a day 2 draft pick. I think he'll go after Omarion Hampton. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a run on running backs at the end of day 1, definitely early day 2. But, who's going to draft Caleb Johnson when there's some pretty solid A-tier players from Ohio State as well? Now, back to Trevion Henderson, the reason Judkins got some reduced snaps. Henderson is slightly below him, in my opinion. His first year, he had 1,248 rushing yards, and then finally in 2024, he was averaging about 960 yards per season rushing. He had 960 rushing yards this year. Bit more of a receiving threat with 284 receiving yards on 27 receptions. Judkins, Henderson, they're really 1A, 1B. Henderson's a bit more of a receiving back, a bit more explosive. Profile's a bit more like a third down running back, so I'm not sure if he'd be the true workhorse. Judkins, I feel like, has a bit of an ability to be more of the early first and second down running back. and really get some looks. I don't know. Both of them have a bit of a red zone potential as well. I think more agility and more power. So these are my A-tier running backs: Johnson, Judkins, and Henderson. Now looking at the next running back on my board, it is really close between A-tier and B-tier for me. I'm going to put him in B-tier. The only thing I'm really high on Ollie Gordon. The only thing keeping me from putting Gordon in A-tier is that these three are actually they have the stats, they have the consistency. Ollie Gordon is not far behind though for me, guys. And I wouldn't blame you if you put Ollie Gordon higher. I think people are sleeping. It's a tale of 2 years. He had over 2,000 total yards as a sophomore. He had very good change of direction, very good vision, dangerous in space, used as a receiver in the flat. But in his junior year, this year, couldn't get any rushing room, tried to go for the big play way too often, and he went from being a stud to being a dud. He went from 1,700 rushing yards to 800, he went from 330 receiving yards to 180, and that's really the only reason that he's in B tier right now. I'm really tempted to put him in A tier. You got comment down below. Are people sleeping on Ollie Gordon? What tier should he be in? I think that depending on where his landing spot is, he could be an every down running back. He's probably going to have to earn it. There's not too many open vacancies in the NFL in terms of running back. He's going to probably start as that change of pace back. But don't sleep, dude. He had a 2,000-plus yard scrimmage season. Yards from scrimmage. That is very, very impressive. So Ollie Gordon has to be, number 6 on my running back list. This is why the class is deep, ladies and gentlemen. Up next, Dylan Sampson. And you know what? I'm going to do something unique. I'm going to put Ollie Gordon as a standalone in B tier. Because I think that between Gordon and Sampson, there is a bit of a drop-off with the next, several different running backs. Dylan Sampson, he had 1,500 rushing yards in 2024, as well as 143 receiving yards. Nothing really too crazy to write home about. He's a bit light in terms of weight, but he moves very fluidly, making him very tough to bring down. He had 6 straight 100-plus yard rushing games this season for Tennessee, and he made defenses pay when they spread themselves out a bit too much. He does have starting upside. One thing that I do like is that, let me check his touchdown totals. Yeah, this is the guy. He had 22 rushing touchdowns. That is wild. The receiving kind of concerns me a little bit, but in terms of rushing upside, he definitely has it. And the rest of these guys might actually all have to be C tier because they all profile pretty similarly. We have Kyle Monangai next from Rutgers. He had back-to-back almost 1,300-yard rushing seasons. He had 13 rushing touchdowns this year. Not really any rushing upside whatsoever. So that's a bit of a concern. He's a tough runner, low pad level who can work well through contact. He also did well on the outside, so it's not necessarily just inside zone being spammed. Damian Martinez is up next, another guy in C tier. Now, these guys are going to be probably 3, 4, round 5 type guys. So we already invested the heavy capital on S through B. Now C tier, Dylan Sampson, I've seen him actually going into mock drafts pretty early. But the rest of these guys, I don't expect too heavily of capital to be invested. Now, Martinez transferred from Oregon State to Miami, and he had a solid year for the Hurricanes. He had 1,000 rushing yards and 10 touchdowns. He also had another 200 yards through the air, so the reception bit is actually pretty solid. He could develop. He's a bit of a project. He could become a lead back in the NFL, but he's probably not going to be as dynamic of a pass catcher, especially in a class full of these guys. So it's a bit concerning, but C tier, not bad. We're talking about late round 2 in your Dynasty Rookie Drafts. You can start targeting or thinking about some of these guys. Devin Neal is the next name that you guys should know. And Devin Neal, he's a bit underrated. He's definitely, people are not putting him above any of these other guys, but they are kind of aware of him. He broke out as a true freshman on a terrible Kansas team. He had 700 rushing yards and 8 touchdowns. Since then, 3 1,000-yard seasons, including in 2024. He had 16 touchdowns and almost 1,300 yards. He caught at least 20 passes in all of those seasons, and he's very, very fast, but he lacks power. So, you take something and you lose something. DJ Giddens is up next. And DJ Giddens, a lot of people don't even have him ranked. People I'm looking at, they're sleeping. They're sleeping on DJ Giddens. And in 2023, he had 1,220 rushing yards. 2024, he had 1,300 rushing yards. His touchdown total was a bit low. He had 10 in 2023, which is all right. Then he had 7 in 2024, which is a bit low. But he's averaging around 300 reception yards per season as well on this Kansas State Wildcats offense. So I think Giddens deserved to be mentioned in C tier. And I'm actually going to do something a little interesting. I'm going to have B tier kind of be unique, man. And if we're thinking about uniqueness, you got to go with Cam Scatterbo. Cam Scatterbo has not been anything near consistent, but he has flashed explosiveness. 2024, 1,700 rushing yards, 21 touchdowns, 600 receiving yards, and 3 touchdowns. I mean, those stats would put him right here in A tier. It's just he had that 2022 good season. 1,300 rushing yards, 7 touchdowns, 300 receiving yards, 3 touchdowns. 2023 regressed to 700 rushing yards, 9 touchdowns, and 300 receiving yards. I mean, I don't know if his skill set can translate to the NFL. It's scary, I'm not going to lie. If it does translate, is he going to be a third down running back? Is somebody going to give him a chance as an RB1? His performance in the college football playoffs against Texas definitely boosted him up from being, D tier. He jumped C tier, and now he's there with Ollie. I like this list, man. This is a solid ranking in my opinion. Comment down below what you would change. Hopefully this helped you out. Smash the like and subscribe button so you don't miss more. Peace out. Thanks for watching.